It's Tuesday the 18th of September 2023. This is my parents' home. In 1975 my mum and dad bought the house and lived in it. My dad then moved out and my stepdad, Peter Greensides, moved in, and they have been in the house ever since. Sadly, Peter died in 2018, and then in 2022 Mum, Lenore Greensides, died. Ever since then, I've looked, before then, been custodian of the garden as well, helped Mum along after Peter died, and this is probably my last visit. It's the last time certainly I'm going to cut the grass. New owners move in on Friday, so I'm just going to have a little tour around the garden. This is the greenhouse that's nearest the house. Mum used to grow tomatoes in there. It was renovated during 2020, during COVID, and has been very useful. Again, a little area of grass that's been reseeded to be able to be used nicely. Of course, the garden room and the garage off the drive. Carport's now able to be accessed, and car can go in if needed. My parents absolutely adored this garden, and it's been a pleasure working in it. I've worked alongside Lucy, who's Mum's gardener and very much a friend of mine too. It's got a lot of happy memories for me as a child. It wasn't like this then. It was very open, lots of fruit trees, big pear trees to climb in. This little stone bench I sat on my wedding day and had a photograph in my wedding dress taken. And the garden really is looking particularly beautiful at the minute. This is an area of the garden that Mum took a lot of time in 2019, and then when she had her stroke in 2020 during COVID, it was kind of up to me to try and keep that little yew hedge alive. It's done really well and is growing. Used to be a huge conifer hedge here, and thank goodness that's gone, because this is letting so much more light. Beautiful agapanthus still in flower, which is stunning. There's still a lot of roses in flower as well there, and the cyclamen all coming up through the back of the border as well. Look at that, isn't that pretty through there? Go down into what I was always considered to be the orchard. It's been sort of gardened a lot more of late than it was. And there's another area that during COVID I helped Mum kind of bring back. This pond was literally a big thick mass. Oh, look, can you see the two frogs sitting there? Hello, froggies. You got lots of babies this year, didn't you? It's a much happier pond now than it used to be. Frogs are, I think there was one frog living amongst the slime. We called it Gwen, after my friend Steph, who hates frogs. I'm just going to go through here. This is another greenhouse that where all the glass has been repaired, and 2021 Mum had tomatoes and beans growing in there. And it was a fantastic spot for she'd by then been able to get out more and more and been able to reach this part of the garden after her stroke. I can't see any frogs in here today, but I've seen one jumping in when I was cutting the grass, so I know there's one there. Apples falling. I think Mum said is that Gascoigne Scarlet? It's the oldest apple tree in the garden, I think. But here's some lovely apples in here. And then again more cyclamen growing underneath there. Going down to the bottom of the garden. Little archway of roses for there. And then some more of Mum's special apple trees here. The one that's sort of leaning over here, this little one, that's Aram White. Mum grafted this from a tree up at Aram, and as I've got one of them as well in a pot at home, and then there's Hornsey herring back there as well. This tree last year had the most amazing amount of apples. I can't remember what the name is. Anyway, not a single apple this year. Must have exhausted itself last year. An iris bed that has done really well this year, after not having any flowers on those irises for donkey's years. Obviously, September, a lot of things have kind of finished up now in the garden, but it's still looking lovely. I'm going to go back round here because this is where, through into the rose garden, get a lovely view up of the garden there. I'm going to go back through here and up through Peter's rose garden, and there's a beauty just still in flower there. I have a confession. I managed to knock the top off that urn when I was trying to move it, so now it's a bit of a feature as it is. Hostas have done okay this year. We spent a bit of time in here, me and Lucy, this year trying to get on top of the bindweed. It'll come back, of course, we know, but plenty of ferns. Makes such a lovely place. The little boy that's moving in on Friday wasn't very happy that we'd cut it back because he liked it looking like a jungle. I'd probably be the same if I was his age. Coming round the back of that border now, and in through, you get a view of the lawn there, across there, and then down through to the bottom of the garden there, and up here and go up the path. Again, just trying to keep on top of these hedges to be able to let the flowers grow. Oh, there's a weed. Pull that up. And ferns have been amazing. They died all last year, loads of them. These are shuttlecock ferns. A lot of them died last year because of the extreme heat. But the extreme wet has done them really well this year. Fabulous view across to the Minster. So that is it. That is the garden at 54A Keldgate as it is today, Tuesday the 18th of September 2023.